And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. I have heard teachings that interpret this to mean that the church gave birth to Christ. The church did not give birth to Christ, but Christ gave birth to the church. I've also heard it interpreted to mean that this is taking you back to the time when King Herod gave orders to kill all the children 2 years old and younger to try to stop Jesus and his kingdom before it could get started. And while yes, Satan did use King Herod to try and kill Jesus before he could carry out his plan for salvation, but neither of these two interpretations are correct. So let's break it down and interpret Revelation chapter 12, verse 2. Here we have more symbolic or figurative language, and it is not to be interpreted literally. Remember where we left off from Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. We have a woman, and a woman means the church. We have a church clothed in the light, clothed in the truth, clothed in the righteousness of Christ, standing on the truth of the gospel that the 12 apostles taught, who will be given a crown of righteousness, the genuine servants of God in Christ, those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus. Now this passage starts off with she, and she being a woman, and is referring to the woman clothed in the sun from verse 1. This woman, or this church, is with child. The child here is symbolic and referring to Jesus Christ, the gospel of Jesus Christ. I don't think we will have much opposition here. This is accepted amongst most biblical scholars and those who interpret Bible prophecy that this child is in fact Jesus Christ. So far, we have a church bringing forth the gospel of Jesus Christ, the 12 apostles and their successors who have taught throughout church history. This word cried here is not referring to physical pain, but to call out. Consider this statement. I cried out to Jesus, seeking wisdom and guidance. I'm not physically shedding tears. I am calling out to the Lord. And this word comes from Strong's number G2896, and it means to properly to croak as a raven or scream, to call aloud, to cry out. Now, travailing in birth is the Strong's number for the phrase of G5605, and it comes from the root of G5604, and from the outline of biblical usage, it is the pain of childbirth, travail, pain, birth pains, intolerable anguish, in reference to the dire calamities that precede the advent of the Messiah. Pained, it comes from Strong's Concordance number G298, and taken from the outline of biblical usage, it means to test. Metals by the touchstone, which is a black siliceous stone used to test the purity of gold or silver by the color of the streak produced on it by rubbing it with either metal. To question by applying torture. To torture, to vex with grievous pains of the body or mind. To torment, to be harassed, distressed, of those who at sea are struggling with the headwind. Now, delivered is taken from Strong's number G5088, and it simply means to bring forth, to bear, produce, fruit from the seed, of a woman giving birth, of the earth bringing forth its fruit. Now, metaphorically, it just simply means to bear or bring forth. So, let's sum up Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. We have a church clothed in the light, clothed in the truth, clothed in the righteousness of Christ, standing on the truth of the gospel that the 12 apostles taught, who will be given a crown of righteousness, the genuine servants of God in Christ, who keep the 10 Commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. A church bringing forth the gospel of Jesus Christ, the 12 apostles and their successors that taught throughout church history, even through the hardships and the opposition. This gospel will be delivered.